Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with my guy, Corey. What's up, big dog?
What is up, everybody?
I think before we start anything, we need to send an SOS signal out. I am concerned.
Sending out an SOS. Yeah.
I have a concern.
Okay.
And I think we are looking for bodies here today on the podcast. I am looking for any Dallas Cowboy fan that is still wearing your gear at this point in the year. I'm concerned. I haven't seen y'all. I mean, usually they're loud, they're boisterous, they're wearing their stuff, they're flooding stadiums. I just haven't seen them. They're MIA. I mean, where are all the Dallas fans at? That quickly, y'all just turn your back on your team? Like that quickly? You have 1 year where you don't have you're not even at 500 at this point in the year and you guys just leave?
Yeah,
like, I'm blown away. Where's all these committed fans? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm just worried about you. I'm worried about your well-being, guys.
I will say this. I don't know. I feel like I woke up Monday morning a Bills fan for some reason. I don't know what happened. I was like, whoa.
It's called Josh
hoodie.
Allen.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's called a quarterback that'll hit you in the mouth and make you taste blood. That's what it's called.
Dude, his run for a touchdown. Oh man.
Yeah, there was somebody who made a statement on ESPN, and I don't remember who it was. He said he thinks Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL, and you know what my thought was after I watched the Bills game? Josh Allen makes up for his lack of accuracy with his legs.
Oh yeah.
Josh Allen's he's a great athlete, but he is not as accurate of a quarterback. I can name 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that are more accurate than he is. He missed some throws that Mahomes does in his sleep. He missed some throws. Aaron Rodgers is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. I'm not saying they're winning, but that guy is accurate. Yeah. He can hit a bumblebee in the middle of his eyes. I mean, that dude's accurate. When he's on, he is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Dude, Jaden Daniels, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Washington fan, but at the beginning of the year before they started, throwing us some little bit of hooks, that guy was throwing balls that I was amazed at how they were dropping in. I think everybody was. Yeah. I don't think he's one of the most accurate. Not yet. Give him time. But I just don't think Josh Allen, he is more of a bull in a china closet quarterback where he's going to find ways to win. But as far as leaning on his arm and his accuracy to win a game, I think you're in trouble. I think he beat him up with his run. But, dude, Patrick Mahomes, any day of the week. But Josh Allen, is he a better overall quarterback? No. Is he one of the best in the league? Yeah, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. But he is not the best. And I'm telling you, his accuracy – the dude is a straight athlete. I loved it when he was in Wyoming. I love Josh Allen in Wyoming. I told my wife, I was like, that dude's going to be a beast in the NFL. Nobody, he's undersized, under-recruited, and he comes in and he's what he is. I love his story. I love who he is, but definitely don't think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's somebody that if he's your quarterback, you're happy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
when you talk about pure quarterback, I mean, you can talk about like an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, there's a million reasons why he hasn't won more Super Bowls, but I'm just... different time.
I get you.
For those of you that are watching today, I would like to shout out my wife who made me a nice little wall back here. You see that? She moved my office around. You like that? That's for you guys. It's a beautiful wall for you. You got some good things here. Got my Nicaragua. This was given to me when I was in Nicaragua doing an event there. Got my Washington chain, my Washington flag, my Braves flag that when I coached the Braves a couple years ago, all my kids signed my Braves flag here.
Nice.
Got a baseball bat going up from States, Little League tournament. I mean, I got all kinds of just goodies over here, man. I got my book, Billy Graham, Peace with God, right there that Corey found under the stage at our location in Oakland, Maryland.
I worked hard for that bad boy.
Dude, I mean, I got my season ticket holder, Washington, hail to the take command. I mean, we got just all kinds of goodies over here. That's all I'm saying.
It looks good, man. It looks good. Thanks. I'm still in an Italian restaurant, so I like it, man. What are you guys serving today? I stream from Olive Garden every week.
What do you guys, La Bella Vita? So I'm guessing a lot of people out there watched that Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
I did.
At the end of the day, a lot of people were talking more about Mike Tyson's butt cheeks than they were the fight.
Bro, cameraman knew what he was doing.
I'm just like, you know what? Mike Tyson didn't seem to care. Or he didn't know.
He did.
Either way.
He did.
But you can complain about Jake Paul all you want, but this is the reality. He is a money maker.
Yeah.
They made $18 million in gate fees, which was the largest gate fee outside of anything ever in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude knows what he's doing. A tweet was made that I thought was really funny that I wanted to share with all of you. It said, I want to go back in a time machine in 1998 and try to convince people that in 2024, a 60-year-old Mike Tyson will be fighting a kid from the Disney Channel over the World Wide Web via the company that rents DVDs via mail broadcast by Rosie Perez.
That's the best. Oh, what a world we live in.
Oh, what a world, man. Let's be honest, though. Nobody wanted to see Iron Mike get knocked down.
No.
If you did, you need a heart because he's a childhood hero. You know, nobody wants to see Michael Jordan right now go out on a basketball court and play in the NBA and get dunked on. Nobody wants to see that because we all have a picture in our mind of what these guys are, and the last thing we want to do is have that picture ruined. Is that fair?
Right. Correct.
I don't want to have that picture ruined. Do you want to have that picture ruined?
No, never.
So my hat's off to Jake Paul for not knocking him out. Do I think he could have? Yeah, I think Jake Paul could have knocked Mike Tyson out. I really do. I think Jake Paul, it was a moneymaker. I think it was cool to see. People enjoyed it. If you really wanted to fight, there was 2 fights before that were legit fights. Nobody wanted to see Iron Mike get knocked out. Nobody wanted to see that.
I think that those fights. Now, I didn't know much about the very first one, but the 2 women that were boxing, obviously there's a history there. Like, again, Taylor had won the last one. Again, how that, I don't know. You play into it. There's the kind of like theory or the even maybe conspiracy theory at this point that like to beat a champ, you have to like legit beat them. It can't be close. There's a lot of people that talk about that in kind of like the boxing circles. Whether that's true or not, I have no clue. But I do know there's history there between the 2 of those. And then obviously Jake and Tyson. But I think, honestly, I look at it and I watched it and I was like, hey, for the sport itself, I feel like that event probably did exactly what they wanted it to do for the sport. Stirred up people's emotions. It got people talking. It got people talking about the sport. A lot of people out there throwing their hats in the ring saying it was all scripted, whatever. But hey, you were watching. Like, it did its job.
I don't think you can. I don't think they're not wrestlers. They're not WWE. It's not fake.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, wrestling is scripted. Boxing, there was nothing scripted about those girls going at it, man. And honestly, I do agree with that though. Like as a champion, the thing I hate about boxing is it's 3 judges giving you points, right? It's not like let's fight till somebody gets knocked out and then it's a clear winner. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like we're gonna fight and then whoever. But I mean, sometimes the fans want somebody to win just because they want a champion to be knocked off.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was the case of somebody has to be convincingly beat, I thought that there was a potential conversation for that. But if you're saying just beat, nobody really got just beat in that fight. It was just, you know, if it wasn't an undisputed champ, would have gone the other way. I think so. But, you know, I think a champ holds the belt for a reason too. And I get it, you know, so either way it stinks, you know, hopefully they fight again, I guess. I'm not a huge boxing fan, meaning I don't ever rent pay-per-views. The only reason I watched that one is because it was Mike Tyson and it was on Netflix and it was free. But I don't like lock-in fight nights and, you know, like I've just never been that person. But I like to see people good at what they do. And so when you think about these athletes and how they train and then you get to see them go after each other, it is kind of fun. But, you know, you don't ever want to – I just didn't want to see Iron Mike go down. That's all I got.
Oh, I know. You know, I heard this fact afterwards and I went to look it up to make sure it was true. But obviously, you know, like in – some of the controversial things that were said, like, hey, they're only going to do 8 rounds. They're 2-minute rounds. But a lot of that has to do with, like, you know, your energy, making sure that each round there's a lot of, like, even the women boxers, making sure that no one gets super tired. But I read this, and then I looked it up. The longest fight with gloves recorded in history was April 1893. You want to guess how many rounds it was?
15.
110.
What? Oh, my goodness.
Was 110 rounds. The match went for 7 hours and 19 minutes and was declared a no contest. A draw.
All that for nothing? If I'll just give the other guy my gloves and say, hey, bro, you can win. We can't get down like this. So you think it was just like, hey, man, let's start this sport called boxing. Let's see until one of us get knocked out. How does somebody not get knocked out after 7 hours of getting beat in the face?
I don't know. That's the thing is like that is wild to me. Just built.
Well, how that makes me think they danced around a lot and didn't swing hard because there ain't no way you're taking shots for 7 hours and not going down. That's a physically impossible.
Yeah, yeah. Spectators had fallen asleep in their seats,
which tells you it wasn't a very good fight. If that fight we saw on Friday night would have went 7 hours, there would have been people that died during that fight.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying? There's no way.
Jeez.
If you fall asleep in your seat, there's a lot of dancing around the ring, and there's little rules. There's a lot of laying on each other and trying not to get knocked out or something.
Probably. Yeah. Anyway, still though,
I'm just making accusations because we don't have any video to verify.
Exactly. It was in the 1800s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some hours.
It's going to be hard to follow that up. But what kind of fun facts you got?
Well,
man?
yeah, maybe that's kind of like a double fun fact for you. I got to thinking. I came across an article, but recently, I don't know how often you ship things using the United States Postal Service. I had to ship a controller out the other day, but I have family members that live in different states. With the advent of, Amazon and everything, that makes it way easier. But for all those coming into the holiday season, you might be needing to ship some packages out across the country. I found a fun fact about the United States Postal Service. And so apparently in 1913, back in the day, a mailman would carry letters and stuff like that. Well, they invented basically their large parcel kind of thing came out in 1913. You could start to ship bigger packages, bigger things that are just bigger than a letter. Well, apparently.
You said 1913?
1913. It was called their parcel post. So parcel post.
I've heard. Yeah.
So this came out in 1913, and an Ohio couple named Jesse and Mathilda mailed their 8-month-old son, James, to his grandmother, who lived just a few miles away.
They mailed a kid?
So let me. I don't know if you're looking at the podcast. There's a child in a parcel post. We'll post a picture of him maybe. But apparently news started getting around, and this sparked a thing throughout kind of the country that you started to hear random stories of other people that were mailing their children through the United States Postal Service.
What?
Yeah. So it said that it was only 15 cents for them to mail their 11-pound baby boy, James. And they insured him for $50.
What? In what world would you think that kid is going to be safe?
Yeah.
Did he make it?
Well, I mean, yeah, he made it. Yeah, all these kids made it. Nothing bad happened. Listen, it was a different time back then. I guess people were,
How far did they mail him?
So this one, the very first one was
only
across
town?
Well, the very first one was only a few miles. So you've got a mailman who's just carrying this 11-pound baby for.
Oh, he carried the baby. They wouldn't box him up and ship him.
No. Yeah, this was back in the day where mailmen had basically a pouch.
So they would hand him the baby and tell him to carry him to the address.
Yeah, like the picture I showed you, the baby's just sitting in the pouch. Okay, basically.
Well, that's very different than me thinking they took him to the store and boxed him up, or they boxed him up and sent him.
Yes. So one of the obviously this didn't last super long. Because one of the final straws, but again, there's lots of stories you can look about. People just started mailing their children through the mail. But one of the biggest ones was in 1914, someone mailed a 4-year-old girl named Charlotte via a train to her grandparents 73 miles away.
Wow.
And so I think it sounds like that was the story that was kind of like, all right, guys, we gotta stop doing this. We can't have mailmen in charge of children going across the country.
Dude, that is crazy. Well, I had a government teacher in high school that used to send letters back and forth to his friend in college, and they used to put their address as they used to put the address that was going to as the return address, and then their address as the regular address, and they put it in the mail without a stamp.
Okay.
And then it would get sent to the right person. Like, it get returned to the person. Like, there's no postage. So go to the guy they want him to go to. And then I guess I don't know how they do that now. I'm guessing they would just charge the person that gets. I don't know how they go around that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess they just see it go through the system. Like, this dude's been doing this twice now. Like, we're just gonna send a letter back to. You know what I mean?
So I read down this at the bottom. This is kind of maybe a way to wrap it up. At that point, only bees and bugs were allowed to be mailed, and chickens were added later in 1918.
Wow.
But the parcel
The life
started
of
out
a
with a
mailman.
bang. Sending kids.
The life of a mailman. We don't even understand what they go through, man. We don't understand what it's like to be a mailman.
Hey, this season, treat your Amazon driver nice. Leave a little treat out for him or something.
Yeah, I get it, man. I feel like we have trucks coming here all day now. I feel like it's Amazon, FedEx, UPS, mail, and we got 4 deliveries every day, I feel like.
Yeah.
You ever feel like that?
Yes, I do feel like that.
It's like nonstop. I'm not mad, but man, get them drones out. Let's let it.
Right? I'm ready for a drone to drop me something off. That'd be cool.
Me too. You know, I've heard about these drones delivering food. I've never seen one, but it'd be nice to. I don't have my food delivered. I don't ever do Uber Eats because, you know, I saw that meme during a couple years ago where the dude's in the bathroom and you just see his feet in the bottom of the stall and then the Uber Eats bag and it's like, it'll be here shortly. I'm like, yep, never doing that. Never. I will go without.
No.
So
No.
if you're driving for Uber Eats, hey, more power to you, but it won't be delivered here. I'm not doing that. Hey, so you asked for it.
Don't blame me. You asked for it.
So we've done pretty well today to steer clear of anything inappropriate or slightly on edge of the functions of the body in which Corey seems to delight with his fun facts.
Oh, there's still time.
So because of that, I figured I'd bring it in for you asked for it.
Let's go.
I figure we're getting too classy here on the podcast. I need to pull it back. It's been almost 15 minutes and we haven't had any talk of the bathroom.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a very personal question that I would like for you to tell the world. I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
1, what is the average amount of time that you think people sit on the toilet?
Oh, goodness. Average. This is everyone. This is male and female. Everyone. Okay. Males, we're definitely holding it down, I think.
Well, I think anybody with kids, that average is going up because that's your sacred place.
That's true. Listen, part of my gut wants to be like 10, 15 minutes, but I'm going to go 25.
25 minutes?
Yeah, dude. I'm going to say it's wild.
Oh
Maybe
gosh.
that I oversold
What do you
it.
do, bro? 25 minutes?
oversold
That's
it.
a whole episode of Fresh Prince.
Maybe that's what I'm watching.
25 minutes?
Listen,
Good Lord.
I think
You
there's
beating the
people
level of
Listen, I
the
think
video
there's
game you're playing?
I think there's people out there ruining this bell curve for everybody that are watching movies and getting numb legs.
What? Oh my gosh. Numb legs. After 25 minutes, bro, you're going to have to crawl on your elbows out of the bathroom.
What is it, like 8 minutes or something?
Well, I don't know. I don't actually know.
Oh, you don't
stat.
know?
I'm just curious.
Well, I'm going to look it up.
What is your average time?
I'm listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably good for a good 10. Yeah. Or yeah.
Are you being
Average
conservative?
Time.
Are you being conservative, Corey?
Sometimes. Sometimes I might be. Listen, that's my reading. How do you think I come up with these fun facts?
Well, I would assume they were all on the toilet because most of them have to do with that. So, do you
wait.
find the stat?
No, I
stat
got.
tracker
I
over
guess
there?
I got. How long does the average human spend on the toilet? Well, that's not my life. I don't want my life. 73 hours per year. That's
What?
wild. That's wild.
That's scary. Do you know what's happening? Back in the day when you had an outhouse and you had to wipe with a corn cob or a Sears catalog. My dad has these stories. They lived on a farm. I'm pretty sure you didn't spend time in there.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty sure you didn't go to the outhouse in the middle of winter and say, I'm just going to cozy up for 10 minutes out here in this stank hut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in 2024, you got heated toilet seats, you got nice warm home, you got full entertainment in the palm of your hand, and the next thing you know, the bathrooms are more important than kitchens. I'm just saying.
So they say it's around 5 to 10 minutes is the average.
That's not very long. I think that's inaccurate.
Average time on the toilet for men, a bathroom retailer survey found that men spend an average of 14 minutes on the toilet. That's per day, compared to 8 minutes for women. The average time to poop is around 12 minutes.
Wow.
Look, my gut said 15. I wasn't far off.
Y'all need to eat more vegetables. Get out of there. Squat and scoot, babe. Get out of there. Well, the reason I say it is because the doctors warn us. They're seeing an uprise in some physical problems. They're saying you should never sit longer than 10 minutes. And experts are warning that they call it prolonged sitting on the toilet can harm your health.
Well,
And they're saying it's linked to hemorrhoids and weakened pelvic muscles. And they're saying what happens is when you're sitting, the blood has to pulsate, or your heart pumps your blood through your body. But when you're sitting on the toilet, because of the way the old cheeks are positioned and everything, that the blood is pumped, but doesn't have it's really slow going back up through your body, and so it pushes a lot of blood to certain areas of your body that aren't meant to be free hanging, and it causes health issues over time. And they say when doctors are saying right now, when patients are coming to them with complaints in particular areas, their first question to these patients is, "How long are you sitting on the toilet?"
Wow. I'm going to give you all. Listen, pretty soon you guys are going to realize from this podcast that
I already know
that this changes everything about your life. Flatulence, how you go to the bathroom, how long you go to the bathroom. Like the bathroom, you just better be ready, people.
And if we're being honest, these are all questions you ask. It's not public.
Yeah.
This is your safe hiding place, the Brandon Shank podcast. This is your safe hiding place, guys. We're trying to give you keys to life that will change everything.
Yes. Listen, I do have a funny story. So my dad used to tell this story all the time that one of his jobs when he was younger, he was like a stocker at a grocery store. And so he'd work like late nights and he'd stock the shelves. Well, he was like really tired, it's the middle of the night. And so he went in to go to the bathroom and he fell asleep on the toilet for 3 hours.
I don't think that's possible.
He couldn't walk. He had to scream at the top of his lungs to get his manager to come help him off of the toilet seat.
What?
His legs were so dead, he could not walk.
Wow. It's almost scary.
That's what I'm saying. This study, I think, is real. It's real.
Well, so this is the key, guys. If you want to live a long life and you want to avoid hemorrhoid issues and pelvic floor issues, don't take your phones. I know it's hard. Just leave them outside the bathroom. You can get right back to them. Don't take your phones. Because nobody wants that dirty phone that you use while you're in the bathroom sitting on the dinner table. Anyway, so don't take them. Just don't take them.
I'm going to look up one more fact. And I think we probably don't want to know this one.
Man. Well, I'm not going to ask you.
Give me one sec. Yeah.
I'm not interested.
According to a study, this was back in 2011, and look, we all know it's way more now, that 1 out of every 6 smartphones has fecal matter on it.
See, we don't need to know those things, because now when y'all throw those phones, when you're sitting there with your friends and you're putting on your phone, you know, always saying doo-doo fingers. Y'all got doo-doo fingers.
Yeah, this literally says your iPhone is dirtier than your toilet.
Oh my goodness. It's so nasty.
Oh,
that is so nasty. Listen, if you're listening to us right now, heed the advice. Wisdom from the Lord. Leave that phone out of your bathroom. It will save your hemorrhoids, your pelvic muscles, and it will save your bacteria-infested, ingested flu season that's coming right at you. Save your life.
Yeah, you guys don't want to know what I'm reading. Let's just put my phone down.
Let's hear it. We're already this deep. We're already this deep. We're already too far gone.
7 times dirtier than your toilet.
What do y'all do with your phones?
Just
as soon as this is over, I'm going to wipe mine down with Lysol.
Yeah, bro. Obviously, we've talked about this before. Don't have your toothbrush anywhere near your toilet.
No,
because every time you flush, obviously you're supposed to close the lid before you flush too,
because
otherwise,
a lot of us, I don't know about y'all. I got a little room for my toilet. You got a little room for your toilet?
Yes, I do have a little room for my toilet.
And so,
yeah.
I'm going to put a sign on the door, no phones allowed.
That's gross. That's gross, people.
It is gross.
Yeah, go clean your phone.
Well, I want to introduce to something to all of you that is, it's kind of a, I always think of the scripture, the wisdom of the world is folly. This scripture hangs over my life. And the reason it is because I think there's so many, especially coming out of the election, it doesn't matter which candidate you voted for. There are ideas that all of us think are just heinous. We're like, that's just not that smart. And it's not that the candidates aren't smart, but there's always ideas that come out of presidents or presidential candidates or governors or coaches or teachers or whoever, pastors, whatever, that when you hear them, you're like, doesn't sound like a great idea. You have your kids say it. You have your spouses say it. But then there's those things that you're like, man, these people are paid professionals and this is the best option that they have. This is really their idea. And I always think about, well, I think people are genuine. I think they're working hard. I think they're trying to attain something, but the wisdom of the world is folly. It's nothing compared to the wisdom of God. Like, we can work all day. We can work for 100 years to try to attain something, and God can give us wisdom in less than a second that would get us there that 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's like the whole mystery of the peanut, right? What was the guy's name? Oh man, I'm going to look this up while we're sitting here.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You need to inform me. I don't know if I've ever heard the mystery of the peanut.
So, who was it here? What is his name? Oh, yep. George Washington Carver. I think it's George Washington Carver. So George Washington Carver was, this is a very rough story because it's a long time ago I've heard it, but I'll give you the basic facts. George Washington Carver, there was a time in the country where there were these, it was a time in industrial agricultural issue. There was these massive barns filled all over the country with these peanuts. They couldn't use them. They didn't know what to do with them. They had all this overabundance of harvest. And George Washington Carver one day was walking through the woods and he was praying to God and he asked him, Lord, give me wisdom. And he started asking for wisdom in these various things. And God's like, you wouldn't be able to understand these things if I told them to you. But he's like, I'll tell you what I'll do. God said, I'll give you the mystery of the peanut. And so George Washington Carver, after he walked out of the woods, had all these ideas for peanuts that he could use them for. And there was over 300 different ways that he had for uses of peanuts. And so all of these barns and things that were overflowing across the country that were filled with peanuts, they didn't know what to do with them. Like God had given him wisdom to be able to do it. Like God had prepared beforehand. And so, and these are true stories. This is not speculation. Yeah. And my point is, that shows you like God in one moment could empty out all of these barns that were overflowing with peanuts. And we're sitting here thinking, well, what can we do with peanuts? You know, can we make this with them? Can we make that with them? What do you do with them if you're not eating them? Like there's all this stuff. And I always think of that, like wisdom of the world is complete folly. And the reason I say that is because, you know, one of the hot topics, and it should be for the election, and there are a lot of hot topics, but I know one, especially a lot of conservatives, a lot of Christians, it's abortion. And something that I remember when I was looking into the whole concept of abortion, just really understanding the process and what they medicinally say. I want to know what the medical field says about it. Something that hit me that was just so telling of what I'm trying to communicate is that we call abortion in that whole field reproductive health care.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like you call abortion reproductive health care. Why not call it murder? When people go, well, it's not murder. I get that. I'm not trying to start a political fight. I'm telling you, to me, it is, right? But why you call it reproductive health care? Well, so killing a baby is health care. So now taking a life is health care. You're like, well, it could be health care. And I get the arguments, but it's just not. For example, another term for abortion that they have medicinally. So if you're like, I got to go get an induced miscarriage today. No, you're getting an abortion. It's an induced miscarriage, right?
Yeah.
It's like saying, well, my husband, he's really been going through a lot, and so I let him stay out and just kind of enjoy his friends for the night. No, your husband's having an affair with a woman that you know about, but you're not wanting to admit that he's cheating on you. That's the same concept.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. We've made all these terms up to take place of darkness in our world. Euthanasia, right? Saying I want to kill myself because I don't want to deal with what I'm going through. There was a couple. I think it was last year. I don't remember what country it was in, but this son was talking about his mom and dad. They had some long-term illnesses, but they lived by themselves. They were in their 70s. They were able to get around and do their own thing. Their husband and wife lived on their own in their house. They were fully functional, and they both decided one night they had planned to have what they call a medically assisted death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Euthanasia, medically assisted death. So the son said it was really weird. He's like, we're all sitting down, had a big meal at my parents' house. Like the whole family was there to hang out with them and stuff. And then when they were done, they walked over to their chairs and the doctors put the stuff in them and they were both dead.
Yeah.
Like this is okay because of pain. So the parents just wanted to die. So they wanted to die together. So they had a nice meal with all their family, walked over their chairs. And I'm thinking, how selfish. Like you got all these kids and you got all these people that could need you, and you don't want to battle through some pain because your grandkids are there and you could be a support to them. And we're a culture that is, it's like we bite our arm off to save our leg. And it's like we're a culture that is so self-absorbed in what's best for me. What if you have to suffer through pain for 20 years so that you can be there for your kids and grandkids? We always say how much we love our kids, But are we willing to go through pain for 20 years and live in pain so that we can be there for our children and offer advice to them and hug them when they're down and love on them when they're sick? And this is just, it was startling to me that this is actually human logic, that we reason and make it into being okay, that we call it reproductive health care or induced miscarriages or medically assisted death. That should never be a term. But the wisdom of the world is folly. And so these are just things for me that just been baffling. Honestly, as I'm reading more and more, I just realize how much we have convinced ourselves of things that are just not true. You know?
Yeah, I even came across a guy who's honestly, it's a person that they're probably an advocate of like abortions and stuff. Again, I don't know, but made a great point that they were like, we need to stop using the trauma of the 1% to validate the other 99's irresponsibility. So it's meaning like you have all of these people that are saying, well, rape and all these kind of other things. And it's like, you are platforming the trauma of someone else to validate the sheer fact that most people are just wildly irresponsible. And that is most of the abortions that take place are people that it's just an inconvenience. It's not the 1%. And I thought, man, that was such like a powerful statement of, yeah, your whole platforming is based off of the trauma of individuals and how like dirty and wrong that feels. Like you're not even using your own trauma. You're using someone else's trauma to push your opinion and narrative. And
well, and you could tell me, you could give me a million reasons. I'm just telling you, like, never, abortion will never be okay under any circumstance.
Yeah.
It's just, you're not going to tell me that killing something because of your sin or somebody else's sin, or just even married couples that just don't want a baby, you can't ever convince me that taking a life is sufficient. We have people out here arguing for the lives of animals that are mistreated, and throwing a big deal about it. I worked at a restaurant a couple years ago. It was a 5-star restaurant. And we were serving, I can't even remember the name of it. Let me look it up real quick. I'm drawing a blank. We were serving foie gras. All right. And what foie gras is, it's duck liver. And it's a popular, it's a French cuisine. But they say it's like, it's a rich, I guess I've never eaten it, but like buttery kind of thing. And I don't know how they harvest it. I don't know how it's made, but what I was told when I worked there was that basically they fatten these animals up. They get them completely full and they kill them when they're at their fullest so that they get the most, fullness out of the liver. So they basically harvest it. They kill these things and harvest them. I don't know if they harvest it while they're still alive. I don't know. I'll find out real quick, but it says it's not harvested while the animal's alive. But anyway, it's harvested after the animal's killed. But basically, they force feed. It's the force feeding of ducks or geese large quantities of food to intentionally enlarge their livers, and that's how you get the meat or you get the liver. So the restaurant I was at was having foie gras. It was a New Year's Eve, and we had gotten threats. And the FBI had been involved, where I guess PETA had made threats that they're going to come and do this big, solicitation or, kind of like stand out in front of the restaurant and do all this stuff. Well, I was a valet at the time. And so they asked me if I could work on this particular night. They're like, we want you here because we need you to keep a lookout for these things. If it happens, we need you. If somebody approaches a restaurant, they told me kind of how to take care of it. And during that week, there was like a guy or two. It was weird because this was like a very well-known restaurant right outside of DC. It was the only 5-star restaurant within like 150 miles or something like that, or an hour and a half of drive of DC. And they told me like, hey, there's, and there's going to be people, there's threats, blah, blah, blah. And so that week I remember like seeing people walking that I'd never recognized, and a lot of them were like all black. And I told to the restaurant, like, oh, some of that's FBI. They're looking for some of these legit threats that have been posted here. And I don't know how much of this is true. I don't know how much of it, how much of the detail is all true. But what I'm saying is they were mad because of this enlarged liver that they were killing and force feeding ducks and geese for. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I've never had it. But what I'm saying is it was that big of a deal. The FBI had gotten involved and gotten tips. And yet we have places where we can legally kill babies. It's just hard for me. And I'm not going to sit here on this. It's not a soapbox. It is an absolute moral tragedy that we make excuses even for euthanasia, like medically assisted deaths. Like it's just funny how the wisdom of the world is complete folly, and the terms we use in the world. It's just funny to me how we can really legitimize evil and make it something that has a characteristic that we think is okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So off of that, I'm going to change gears a little bit. There's an artist called Glorilla, and so Glorilla is obviously well known for a lot of different things, but there's an album recently released, and there's a lot of backlash because Maverick City Music, a worship, you guys know, a lot of you that are listening to this podcast, you know they're a worship band, and they're a well-known worship band. Well, they were featured with Kirk Franklin on one of her tracks that just got released, and so she rapped alongside the group Kirk Franklin about the blessings she's received from God in her life. And one of the lyrics was, "I know I'm a sinner, Lord, and I know I might sin again." And she raps, "Rain on me. So thank you for not giving up and still giving me strength to win." This is from a quote from Relevant Magazine. And so Maverick City faced a lot of backlash over this. And the reason I brought it up on the podcast is because this is really the DNA and the tension of who I am as a person. This is the tension of who I am as a pastor, of who I am, why I do a podcast. We talk about Jesus, culture, and sports. And sometimes not in that order. It's always Jesus, but it's usually sports, culture, toilets. Like it's always, we talk about, this is what I want to do. When I created this podcast, my heart was, I want to create an environment where people can see Christians that love God, a pastor that loves God, pastors that love God, that talk about real life. Like I said, people read the Bible, they need interpretation, they need taught. I get that. But I want the podcast to be a place where people can say, well, how would I approach this situation? What are some things? And so if you're listening and you have questions, email us. Let us know. You can email at info@palmschurchonline.com. You can go on my Instagram. You can go on Palms Church Instagram. You can go on Corey's Instagram, our Facebook, and you can just send a question, direct message of anything you might have that you want us to cover on the podcast. Maybe it's a you asked for it, or maybe it's a topic you want us to cover. Maybe it's hey, this is something I'm really dealing with. And we won't mention you by name. It can be anonymous. But the reason we created this podcast is because there's got to be a platform where people can just hear Christians living out life, right? Not just reading the Bible and telling you what it says, but like showing you what it says. And when I see this, I'm like, well, this is the truest form of why I love doing what I do. And the ways that our hands are etched in different parts of our life is, this is an artist who cares where they're at in their story. They're asking you to be a part of something they've created. And even if it's for a moment, they're giving glory to God. I don't know this artist. I don't know the background. I don't know the stories. I don't know some of the things that are rapped about. I know some of the artists that are featured on the album, and I know that they're controversial. But I also know that if somebody's seeking the Lord, why does the church always want to step out and feel like we have to judge? Because the Bible says if they're inside the church, you can hold them accountable. But if they're not, then let them be what they are. And holding them accountable means like, hey, if you're claiming to be a Christian and doing all these things and you're trying to lead people to Jesus, but your life isn't consistent. But I think we take that so far as Christians. We're always trying to throw dirt in people's face. And I'm like, why not just love people intently? I always say love more like a dog and less like a cat, man. You know what I mean? Like go up to them, love them. And you know, those cats, man, they're always just hiding in the back waiting to scratch you. You know, like let's just be unconditional loving people. But I saw that and it's just like, man, no wonder a lot of people who aren't in the Christian world don't want to get in it. And I say Christian world is it's like a subculture, and it shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
No wonder people want to stay away because they're like, I'm not accepted in that. And it's just a sad reality of that's not what God's asked us to be, man. He's asked us to love people unconditionally, you know?
Why? Yeah. And it's almost like, why is it? It's just judgmental Christians, Pharisees. It's like, why is it that Maverick City gets bashed? Because I heard about this, but I didn't know the full story. So I'm now hearing it in real time. Why is it that Maverick City gets bashed, but what it should be is Glorilla is honored and celebrated? Like it should just be like, hey, like this is awesome. That's awesome. Like it's a step. It's a whatever. It could be the one awesome, great influence that they have and this connection that they have, and we're just gonna rip it apart as Pharisaical Christians. Like it. Yeah, it gets old and boring, and I'm just kind of bored of it at this point in my life of just like, why is this still a thing?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. But
no, I completely agree, man. I think the thing that is the hardest for me as I sit and listen to this is I don't understand. Our job is to love people. I don't understand why we've made it our job to I'm trying to think of the right word. Our job's to love people, but I don't know why we made it our job to excommunicate people.
Yeah.
To try to have such a secret society. And I think what it comes down to is because we're not living for God. We're living for we're living actually more in the world because we just want to be a part of something that we feel better than other people. So it's about us in the world. It's not even about God. It's not about serving God. It's not about loving God. It's about us living in the world and being what we want to be and having a social status that we think puts us above other people. It's about being, it's funny how that lifestyle people who claim to be Christians is more worldly than people who are just living in the world.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're trying to put yourself in a social class or in a spiritual class that's above people. That's more worldly. That's not living for God than what a lot of people are doing on the other side.
Yeah.
It's just masked because I'm a Christian.
And I think there's a part of me that also, look, I get and I understand that we have had Christians in our past that get very close to that, I don't even know what you want to call it, but that part of the world, whether you're in the world, but not of the world, and they get absorbed into that world. It is true. That's true. But the thing is not to bash them. The thing is okay, pray for them. It's like, why do we have to bash other Christians when the truth is we don't know. You're not their authority. You're not called to judge them. You're not a part of their accountability. You have no clue. And if there's a discernment in your spirit where well, I don't know, I don't know how close is it, then just pray for them. But at the same point, it's you've got people, we're called to go out into this world and be an influence and be light into dark places. That's what this looks like. And that's the part to me that I don't understand how people don't get. How else are you supposed to, we can't be friends with people that think differently? Be an influence. And a lot of times those things take years and years and years. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I understand. Well, and I think my thing is, I just don't understand. I think we get scared. The church, a lot of people get scared of people from the outside coming to the inside unless they're changed before they get there.
Yeah.
And why? It's because we get in these places where we feel like it's safe and we're scared to death of actually having to help people through darkness and through stuff. We get comfortable and God's saying, man, well, I'm not asking you to be comfortable. I'm asking you to be called and to walk in your calling. Everybody's called, right?
Yeah.
So walk in your calling. So there's a million things I can say about this. I'm not going to sit on it forever. Whoever's listening, I want you to know, our job is to love people, love our neighbor as ourselves, to love Jesus and to put him first. And all this stuff is just sideways energy. I'm grateful that, Maverick City had the opportunity to be on there. I'm grateful they said yes. I'm grateful that they see things bigger. Hey, here's my final thought.
Here's my final thought.
Every time we get close to holidays, Thanksgiving's coming up, we miss people. I always say my wife's grandparents, they both passed away within the last couple of years, and they were younger. They were only 80 and 81, I think, respectively. And they were healthy. They lived on their own. And then, her grandfather had a fall, and then her grandmother had cancer 3 years later. And they both died pretty quickly within a short period of time. And like I said, they were living on their own. They were vibrant. And we used to go visit them all the time. And it was really, really cool. It was really, really cool to go spend time with them. We'd go camp near them. We'd put our RV up there and go spend Thanksgiving with them. And so it's been an adjustment now that they're not here. And I miss them. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of things in my life, even with my kids, that, you're waiting for the next thing. You're waiting for the next business to get booming. You're waiting for the church to go to the next place. You're waiting to finish your degrees, whatever it may be. And I can tell you, for me, something I've really enjoyed is look back over the last 10 years of pastoring in this church and the different times through the holidays. It took everything we had to make Christmas happen, or took everything we had to get away for Thanksgiving, and how God always provided. And how he was always there. And so whatever it is in your life, whatever things are overwhelming you, whatever things seem heavy, whatever things seem really stressful, my encouragement to you is this: rest and enjoy the holidays with your family. Because when you achieve and attain everything that you have in your heart and everything you're going to do, they may not be there. They may not be there to celebrate those things with you. Yeah. And that's a hard reality. So make the most of it. Enjoy the time with your family. Enjoy the holidays and hold them close. I love you guys so much. So looking forward to all that God is doing in your life. So looking forward to all that he's doing around you. And it's incredible. We just had a big one day at Palms Church, which is we ask people to, hey, this is the day you start tithing, or this is the day you give above your tithe and give an offering. And God has been so faithful to us. And I just am so grateful. And I know that he's allowing us to be a part of reaching so many people. And so I want you to be a part of that too. And so I would ask you, hey, let God create the lane, what you're going to walk in. Don't try to create it yourself. Enjoy the holidays. Don't get overwhelmed. And I promise you, he'll bless your life when you're honorable and you do the things he's asked you to do in ways that you can't even begin to think, ask, or imagine. Let me pray for you. Lord, I thank you for each and every listener. I thank you for their life. I thank you that today as they listen, they know that, God, you're big, you're great. For anybody listening today that may be in despair or distraught, I pray they would sense that, God, they're listening. You have brought them here to show them how much they matter, to have a voice speak into them to say that you are valued, you are wonderfully and fearfully made, and that, God, you don't make mistakes. I pray they would see today that you're with them, your hand is on them, you never leave them. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, we love you guys. As always, we'll see you 9:30 Sunday at Palms Church. See you soon.